Hello everyone, my name is Kataria Kancham, and today's my topic of presentation is the depiction of scavengers in the novel Ministry of Utmost Happiness. This is my personal information and the table of content. In this presentation, I will discuss about the author and about the novel Ministry of Utmost Happiness. Scavengers depicted in the novel, the vulture, the crow, the dung beetle, and then conclusion. About the author Arundhati Roy. She was born in 1960 in Kerala, India, studied architecture and at the Delhi School of Architecture. She worked as a production designer and has written two screenplays. Her debut novel, The God of Small Things, won the Booker Prize for Fiction in 1997. And it also have sold over 6 million copies worldwide and translated into 30 languages. She is a prominent author of non-fiction books and essays criticizing the Indian government and democracy in India. Her non-fiction works includes The Cost of Living, Power Politics, The Algebra of Infinite Justice, and Listening to Grasshoppers. She was awarded the Lennon Prize for Cultural Freedom in 2003. Her second novel, The Minister of Utmost Happiness, was published in 2017, and it was longlisted for the Man Booker Prize. The Ministry of Utmost Happiness. It is Roy's second novel, released in 2017, almost 2 decades after her debut in the novel genre in The God of Small Things in 1997. The novel explores life in India in aftermath of the partition through the lives of two central characters. First is Anjum, a transgender woman who finds refuge in a Delhi cemetery after tragedy. And second is Tillo, an architect who has a love affair with a Kashmiri separatist named Musa. The novel has a complex narrative structure with a large cast of secondary and tertiary characters. Major theme of the novel includes Hindu nationalism, Kashmiri separatism, and communal violence. Roy takes her reader on a labyrinthine journey as a chaotic and lively as the streets of modern day Delhi themselves. It shines light on the shortcomings of national leadership in India and elsewhere. The depiction of scavengers. Through this novel, Roy depicts three scavengers in the novel. First is vultures. Second is crows, and in the last passage there is a reference of dung beetle also. So the first one is the vulture. She depicts it as a custodian of the dead that have been wiped out. And she also gives the reason of why it is wiped out. So as she gives the reason of this uh, this uh, uh, this uh, this cow aspirants, and diclofenac, and she describes that as cattle turned into better dairy machines, as the city ate more ice cream, butterscotch, nutty buddy, and chocolate chips, and as it drank more mango milkshakes, vultures and neck began to drop as though they were tired and simply couldn't stay awake. So it was the cause by this diclofenac cow aspirins, which is the muscle relaxant for dairy cattles, but it after when they die, it also spread disease into this scavengers like vultures. So use of diclofenac. Diclofenac is a widely available veterinary drug in South Asia, where it is used to treat domestic livestock. Widespread use of diclofenac in South Asian cattle was linked to the death of millions of vultures that ate carcasses containing the drug, causing some population to decline by more than 99% since the 1990s. Explicit estimate of the proportion of the excess mortality required to cause the population decline that I attribute to diclofenac ranges between 71% and 100%. Uh, so it was the major cause of this decline of this population of the vultures. Given the diclofenac is widely used in Pakistan and India and is produced and distributed by many companies, it may take a considerable time to remove it from the food supply of vultures. Even if it is banned, till it will be very troublesome to remove entirely, and it will still create this problem. Uh, Even if it is not in the supply. Three species of vultures endemic to South Asia are in grave danger of extinction and are now listed as critically endangered. Population of oriental whiteback, and then long-billed, and the last one is slender-billed vultures have declined more than 95% since the early 1990s, and which is caused by this diclofenac. Then second one is the crow. So this was depicted as a crow hung frozen in midair, a withered Christ hanging askew on an invisible cross. So it was more horrific imagery produced by Roy, and it was more frightening imaginary through she depicts this hanging crow midway in the air, but then she tells what is the reason behind this. Then what had happened was not a mystery. The crow's wing feathers had snagged mid-flight on an invisible kite string. The string, a new Chinese brand that had suddenly flooded the market, was made of tough, transparent plastics coated with ground glass. Independence Day kite warriors use it to cut each other's strings and bring each other's kites down. So this was the reason behind this horrific imaginary of crow hung frozen in the midair. So if we see this imagery with the reality, then Wildlife Trust of India in the article "Kite Flying Turns Death Trap for Birds" states that hundreds of birds die every year, including some rare species during the January kite flying season in western Gujarat state, making it one of the biggest man-made disaster in India. Sohan Mukherjee of Animal Health Foundation, also associated with Wildlife Trust of India, he states that the use of razor-sharp Chinese nylon threads and string coated with powdered glass led to whole wings of birds being cut off. The Wildlife Trust of India says that vultures, kites, pigeons, dove, eagles, crow, Sarus cranes and parakeets were among those injured by kite flying. Some of these birds are critically endangered criteria. This is also a very concerning issue that is depicted with this the use of imaginary of crow. The third one, the dung beetle. She depicts this as Guinkyo, the dung beetle. He was wide awake and on duty, lying on his back with his legs in the air to save the world in case the heaven has fallen. She also gives this one of the characteristic of dung beetle with that they also travel through the night. Prominent in the sky but not visible to humans is the pattern of a polarized skylight formed around both the sun and the moon. Dung beetles are at present the only animal group known to use the much dimmer polarization pattern formed around the moon as a compass cue for maintaining travel direction. Dung beetles transport their dung balls along straight paths under a starlit sky but lose this ability under overcast conditions. In a planetarium, the beetles orient equally well when rolling under a full starlit sky as when only the Milky Way is present. The dung beetle delivers important ecosystem system service such as nutrient cycling, waste removal, seed dispersal, and by removing dung from the surface, the flies and parasites that breed in dung are not prominent. Borrowing, aerating, and mixing the soil increases its nutrient content as well as improves the water holding capacity of the soil. This may be beneficial for agriculture too. So, this is the importance of this tiny creature. If it were not for disease, stench, and filth, but we regard them with disgust, turning up our noses at them and work. We see them as the disgusting creatures, but they are the one who are helping us to survive in on this earth and do lots of hard work just to protect the nature. Ornithologists kept raising the alarm, yet very little attention was paid till the number of vultures became alarmingly low. The struggle to protect them is turning out to be a stupendous task. Now the bugle for another species has been sounded, this time by the etymologist for dung beetles. Like the vultures, the dung beetles are scavengers, coprophagous insects that feed on the fish of animals. This is also the species that is now coming in the area of danger through the time. In 2005 paper, the scientist I.C. Mittal raised this issue. Monitoring the diversity and conservation status of dung beetles is important because they play a critical role in recycling the organic matter in nature, but also because they are on decline now. In 2011, Simi Venugopal from Loyola College, Chennai, studied the diversity and community structure of the dung beetles in the semi-urban agriculture lands of the Malabar coast and found a decrease in diversity and change in their community status. A year later, Sabuke Thomas, an associate professor from St. Joseph's College, Calicut, and his students recorded species loss in five genera of dung beetles in the moist slopes of the western Ghats in the South India. So this these species of beetles are also in now have become endangered species, and they are need the concern uh, of people as they are mainly play the role of doing the hard work for the survival of the humans. uh, to conclude the presentation, I would like to go back to the novel's point where, through the depiction of scavengers like vultures, crow, and dung beetles, Arundhati Roy presents her concerns of these endangered species and try to wove the contemporary issues in her novel through this symbolism and imagery of these scavengers. Also, she wove this perfectly with her theme of the novel, as Chakrabarti tried to connect by saying that, like the vultures who died of diclofenac poisoning, good birds, old friends, scavengers, them vultures dying of cow aspirants consumption in the preface. In the same way, the guardians of our memory, the writers, the artists, the scribes, the journalists, and the painters, the singers, the dancer, and the musician, they are dropping dead from the sky. So she relates this the symbol of vulture with all this type of intellectual persons and artists, that they are also losing their focus, or they are now not able to hold their neck straight, and they are dropping dead also. So she's trying to connect the symbol of vulture with all these intellectual individuals. um, these lines, very quickly a small crowd of people gather to watch the proceedings, to frighten themselves to death, to advise each other about the occult significance of frozen crows, and to discuss the exact nature of the horrors that this ill omen, this macabre curse would visit upon the imagery of crows. She also depicts the nature and mentality of people. She says them as the onlookers and the unscientific and irrational crowd. So through this, she tries to tell the mentality of people, as they don't think in a logical and scientific manner, but they always try to connect this type of incident with ill omen and something that is bad or cursed, but they never try to look on things with a more logical and scientific way. Then this third of dung beetle. So Royce writes in her novel that he was wide awake and on duty, lying on his back with his legs in the air to save the world. But even he knew that things will turn out all right in the end. So, if in my personal opinion, I try to connect this with all the people who are manual laborers, or the common people who do the hard work in the day, and try to do the dreaming of a better future that will be ahead. So this way, she is giving this symbol of hope through the dung beetles. So this way, all these three creatures, these scavengers, are depicted in this novel. This is my references, and now you can ask me questions.
Richa, my question is that how does the author use the character of Dintioi, the dumb bitter, to convey a sense of hope and realization in the novel, like as you mentioned earlier in your presentation?
Here Arundhati Roy have given this Gohikyo with her lines that she is very hope. She through the Gohikyo, the dung beetles, she is telling that there will be the future ahead, as Anjum is not concerned about the morning or the future. The main character of Anjum is very hopeful, as well as she is trying to see this hope in the Guhikyo as well. That way there will be a future ahead and everything will be all right at the end of the day. That's how Roy tried to give or convey this hope and resilience in the novel at the end point.
Richa, how does the author use the decline of vulture populations due to the diclofenac poisoning as a symbolic representation?
This uh, decline of vulture population due to diclofenac poisoning. So it all starts with the production of milk that the dairy industry or the milk production needed to increase, and that's why they came up with this type of medicine and drugs that will increase the milk production, but it will be in the long run it will be also very danger for the ecosystem, as when the cattle dies, the vulture will eat the remains, and they will get poisoned by this uh, these drugs, because through the years, through the milk production throughout the years from these cattle, they have poisoned completely their body and this body structure, and when they will eat the remains, they will get poisoned, and throughout time they will lose the ability to be focused, and their muscles will also lose the capacity of remaining straight, and that's how they also die. So in the symbolic manner, Roy tries to convey that the custodians of death and the old friends are dying. So that way, as the Chakrabarti is trying to convey that this is the symbolic representation of the individuals or the intellectual peoples who are also losing their grip from the knowledge and contemporariness. They are not able to convey their thoughts persistently the way they were doing it before. So as the time is going, they are also losing their ability to speak or convey their thoughts. Thank you.